As the sun rose, it brought warmth to the forest, slowly melting frost which lined nature's skin, moisture now free to run wild and explore. Finding its rhythmic beat on his helmet, Darwig woke from his slumber. His eyes met the forest and scanned the area. All clear, he thought. Rising to his feet with some elven bread in hand, breakfast of champions, he said. With camp now broken down, he adjusted his helmet and made his way forward through the forest. 2 hours had passed when he approached the tree line. There you are, he said. Looking over the valley, his target was in sight. The castle of a ruthless queen who had joined in the attacks on his city a mere 2 weeks ago. His task? To scout out the city, troop count, and to find what technologies she possessed. Now, he would wait for the opportunity to slip inside the mighty city walls. As the sun began to set, a gather party was approaching from the south and making its way to the castle. Now was his chance. His pack hidden and gather attire on, he slipped into their ranks as they passed his position. Walking side by side with the enemy, he passed through the enemy gates. As the wagon began to unload at the depot, Darwig slipped away in the shadows. His years of high-technology archer training would be put to test. He estimated resource amounts, building structure and wall strength. Moving through the grounds, he found the barracks full with a strong presence of high mages. The college shows high-technology learning and a mystic building filled with troops mastering its power. Darwig had his count, and now he must make his way past the gates and back to the tree line of the forest. As he walked along the shadows on the inner city wall, he heard, "Excuse me." A female voice called out to him. He stopped and stood. "Turn and face your queen," she said. His right hand slid into his cloak, resting on his blade while he scanned his surroundings. She repeated herself once more. "Turn and face your queen." Seeing no accompanying guards, he released his grip on his blade, removing his hand from inside his cloak, and slowly turned to face this queen. She too stood in the shadows, shrouded in a dark cloak. No features could be made. "My lady," he replied. Darwig found himself standing mere feet away from the ruthless queen. "Why stick to the shadows? The moon has blessed us her soft glow tonight," she said, as walking closer to him. "Unshroud your face," she said. He drew back his shroud and stood before her. She too exposed her face. Her crown softly shimmered in the moonlight. The two met eyes for what seemed like hours. Her soft skin illuminated, a slight movement of her lips, and piercing blue eyes. Dark hair covering her cheeks. Her beauty captivated him. "Come with me," she said. The queen led Darwig down a small corridor that opened to a small chamber inside the castle. Had she mistaken him for another? Inside the small chamber, the soft light of candles dimly lit the room. "Join me for dinner," she said, followed by, "I know who you are. I've been waiting for you." Her eyes showed excitement for his presence, yet she said no more. As the two stared, the sound of bells could be heard, ringing throughout the city. A highly decorated mage entered the chamber. "Scout spotted at the enemy gate, my queen." The mage glared at Darwig. "You," he said. A great shock was felt throughout the castle, knocking over candles, and the light escaped the room. The mage illuminated the chamber with his staff, only to see Darwig was gone. Making his way through the small corridor and out into the city, Darwig followed his route back through the city and escaped the gate in the impending chaos. Sticking to whatever cover he could find, he made his way back to the forest tree line. There he watched as an attack was being made on the city. The March colors were not of his city or alliance. Darwig watched as the attacking force was quickly expelled. He gathered his gear and pushed deep into the forest, a route that would take 2 days before bringing him to his city. His travels back were uneventful. Passing the city gates, troops and city folk praised his return. He was not their king, but the greatest warrior the city offered. He immediately made his way to the castle and displayed his findings to the king. Darwig kept his encounter with the queen to himself. That was not for the king's knowledge. Darwig was dismissed, retiring to his barracks. As days passed, his thoughts for the queen continued. He didn't even know her name. She seemed to know him. But why the mercy shown when they met? Darwig pondered these questions. Although she was in the enemy alliance, he felt her intentions were not that of the collective. He tried to push these thoughts out, as his place was to ready his army. Day after day, his army was strengthened and grew in size. His leadership was greatly adored by all. This proved true in the following weeks, when his king fell ill and shortly after laid to rest. With no queen or kin to the throne, the people of his city asked once more of his great leadership, and king he was made. Messengers were dispersed across the alliance territory to tell of the new king. Word arrived back with full support by other alliance kings. Now it was time to reshape the city into his vision and to start his own diplomatic journey. He would be a king of the people, still leading his army to battle if battle arose. His thoughts still lingered for the ruthless queen. Or was she ruthless at all? What's up, everybody? MR.OG here, and I thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed it. That was part 2 of a little mini-series that I'm going to be doing on a few short stories that are entangled with one another. And I'll make these over several episodes in this mini-series. And I hope you guys tune in for the next one. And I really enjoy doing this, and I hope you guys enjoy listening to it. But with that said, if you guys like the video, smash the thumbs up button. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe. And until next time, y'all keep gaming, and I'll see you in the next one.